Well, it's a similar sort of dynamic. One spirit asks, "What do you see?" And the other one responds, "I can't see." It's a direct parallel. Even down to the Happiest Day minigame. There's a point in Stingers when Jake is given the chance to move on and pass into the afterlife, but he chooses to linger back in order to help Andrew. Eventually, one of them moves on while the other is kept to Earth, held back by Afton. Sound familiar? It should. It once again parallels a lot of what we're seeing happen with Golden Freddy in the games.
On top of that, dual process theory reminded me of this moment in mini-games where the crying child was locked in the back room the Golden Freddy costume. They pointed out the tufts of hair coming out of the suit, explaining this to be an employee let out. However, in one of our old videos, you made the valuable point that this head is just sitting too low in the torso. When adults wear it, we see their heads fully out, even when they're sitting. This is something that is explicitly shown to us in places like the graphic novels, which tells us then that the person in the suit here, it's gotta be a child. Again, we see this in the books. In Fazbear Frights, we have scenes where kids reach into the Golden Freddy suit and see black curly hair sitting inside. This is a dead kid that we know was put inside of Freddy. Presumably, this should be the fifth missing child. This is why Crying Child's Fredbear plushie tells him, "Remember what you saw." He has literally seen the deaths of other kids.
You ever thought that maybe that's the answer? What do you mean? Is it possible that this story is actually way simpler than we, the FNAF community, have made it out to be? I mean, look at the scene. Like, really look at the scene. It is pretty darn self-explanatory. A kid is locked in the storage closet and literal tufts of hair are sticking out of the suit. I remember when I first saw this scene, I overthought this thing to death, assuming that it had to be more than just hair sticking out of the suit. Maybe they were wires or tufts of suit hair or something like that, because this was 1983, and by all accounts, it was the first location. It was Fredbear's family.
Yes, 1983. And then their stupid animatronics have facial fucking recognition software.
Here comes the cat.
And in retrospect,
You know, 1980.
done, cut dry. Remember what you saw? You saw a dead kid. We, as theorists, are so often
Where a fucking pizzeria can have military, at the time, military-grade technology.
Kids because of Elizabeth's death, or because he's trying to put his son back together and he wants to run experiments to harvest remnant from other kids. Well, what if he's
Maybe William is secretly a fucking military company.
No more complicated backstory required. I think I talked about this before leaving the channel, but in Helpwater 2, if you like the final gravestones in the very block the huge floor through the form of the body. This is the moment it basically confirms that we're playing the game as Body Bro. The order of the gravestones was very intentional. They explicitly was an order of events. Chica first, then Foxy, Freddy Bonnie, Golden, Freddy, Pim, Puppet Labs. It was really confusing because Charlie died last and didn't make any sort of sense. What about this? The wound first inflicted on me. And yet this gravestone evidence is what the leads are telling us. It's also what we're saying is before. If that tuft of hair is to be believed, and really, why wouldn't we believe it? That gravestone timeline could probably be right. Afton was just killing kids because he could. He was a deranged serial killer.
Retirement really has taken a toll on you. But I also think I see where you're going. Crying Child witnesses the dead kids in the suits, and then gets bit by Fredbear on the day of his party. Afton would be devastated by this, promising to put his son back together. He'd be furious at his business partner Henry, because it was his engineering that did this to his boy. Then, one night, an opportunity presented itself. Charlie was locked outside by some bullets, so Afton, in a fit of rage, killed Charlie. Unlike all the other killings that were premeditated, this was a crime of passion, and so it broke from all of his usual methods. That allows this new order of deaths that Steel Bullets have given us to make way more sense. Chica was always the first, but not just of the MCI, of
Born of ice and fire.
deaths. That's why Henry made security public in the first place, because there were a bunch of kids disappearing from the pizzeria, and Henry wanted to protect it.
Which brings us back to the beginning. Where did we land with the whole dual process theory? Did they solve FNAF? Is Cassidy the crying child?
I think the answer is yes, but also no. There are two sides.
Access denied.
Is Crying Child
You're exposed.
Cassidy cool? Is just
I'm
it
exposed.
would simplify a lot, especially the FNAF 3D games when there's only 5 kids. But then we see a kid already dead inside the Golden Freddy suit before Crying Child even dies. And then there's the dozens of people that watch him die and flatline at the end of that, which would make it hard for him to be considered missing, let alone considered one of the missing
children specifically. It's true, as much as I like it from a narrative standpoint, there's just as much evidence against it as it is supporting its typical
Everybody stand back!
Because the same side of this question. Sure, crying child might not be the fifth missing child, but based on what dual process theory presented, they might be right that crying child's name is Cassidy. William Afton, an arranged serial killer hiding in plain sight, until one day his son Michael decided to play a prank. Kill his youngest son, Cassidy Afton. It has a nice ring to it, I've got to admit.
Maybe, and I definitely see it. It's just a frustrating catch-22. You know, we either get to have the crying child's name, and in the process we lose the established fifth missing kid name, or Cassidy is the fifth missing kid, and crying child remains as nameless as he ever was.
I mean, the answer's got to be in here somewhere, surely. The altered text opposite the mirror returns the spirit's questions with, who are you? What's your name? And with Cassidy not being the fifth missing kid, that leaves the My Name gravestone clue wide open. Honestly, my money's on Foxy Grid. We never did solve it, and there's ghostly text written at the start. Maybe we should take another look.
Oh, no. There's no we here, my friend. I did my time with that Foxy Grid. This is all on you, man.
Oh, well then, I guess I better get started. It's not like I had a billion other things to worry about. Regardless, I suppose I should thank you for helping me out with this episode, Matt. I know Lawfi has kept you pretty busy.
Oh yeah, Lawfi. Nearly forgot that I was out here to promote that. Just got so caught up with the FNAF discussion. Anyway, I should probably get back to working on that. The team and I have worked really hard to make this project as great as it can be, and episode 1 just launched today here on YouTube. So, if you're in need of some chill beats for studying, working, or sleeping, make sure you check out the Lorify project over on Spotify. We got new music releases dropping every week or so with clues hidden inside. So make sure you follow us there to listen as soon as they drop.
But if you want to level up your experience, you can always head over to the YouTube channel and try to piece together the clues to help Taylor solve the mystery surrounding this definitely not a robot Kid Gregory. We've got new animations coming each month that are full to the brim with that sweet lore. Just couldn't help yourself, could you?
Hey, I'm retired. I don't get to say it that much anymore.
True. Do you know what else you don't get to say much anymore? But it's just a theory. Again, security. Thanks for watching.
Fuck.
Didn't see that coming.
What are my daily commissions?
Previously.
Hey, Kazaris!
Hey, Kazaris is really
When did that
sick!
happen?
Oh my goodness! On Progression Series Season 2. Pretty awesome. And most of them are from you, by the way.
I probably should have thought it out a little better, but hey, there's only so many times I can deal with resolving graceful.
I was about to say, how many graceful charities did you pull in today's opening, buddy? I was really hoping we could pick the band charity a few episodes ago. Didn't realize it was named Retro Pack because I don't think you would have abandoned it if that was happening.
I don't know, man. I don't like, probably. I think that did us.
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, there's still like probably a handful.
Born of ice and frost. For Rex
They still make-
Lapis.
We adjust the assets.
Go ahead. Let's light it up. Grant us your blessing.
To be fair, I think it's good.
Yeah.
There's some fun
Invisible
stuff. I was ready to
evidence.
get this. We are right on the verge of 5D's Vengeance. So,
Boom, boom.
Replace my hammer.
At the
God. Yeah, I see.
No touching.
Test subject.
Quick interruption pack. First shot that they created is the Scormax.
Try.
He's supporting the team. Can win. Fuck it. Scissors. One last time before we
The
get
wrong
this
test
shit.
subject.
Something
Motion
else.
to compel.
Come on. It's something else.
The wrong test subject.
Alright. Alright. Well,
This is long overdue. Born of ice and frost. We shall prevail.
that's the part of it.
Everybody stand back. Time for your arraignment.
Didn't get exactly what I
Incinerate.
I will take the car.
This is
I probably should be banned for fuck you. Oh my god. Thank god I have. Alright, so we have 489. Yeah, I wonder what it's gonna be. Jar sack. Okay.
Maybe I should focus more on reactions rather than raw damage.
I'm pretty sure it's BLS. I'm just gonna make sure that that's the correct decision. Warrior Lady, I don't care about. Pro, I also don't care. Part of me wants to get rid of Jar because your amp sucks, but I'll get rid of it. Yeah.
it doesn't help it.
I was about to say, yeah, there's only so much. I'll just set one in the front, two in the back, throw to you, and then if it couldn't
Well, I could do that easily if I just had Shang Chao here instead.
This is like this is like the best top deck I had too. That's like my whole deck. You know, everything else, of course.
This isn't coffee. Coffee.
It goes back. Yeah, I'll get it back. Okay.
It's children.
Chivalry will never die.
Okay, so what's your play right now? Your play is either
Fuck it.
run
Yeah.
with Warrior Lady or set Jar. I guess you could also just set Warrior.
And this works better here, honestly.
Everything else is basically dead at this point. It's like not really that good. Let's see. Paddle like, yeah, just screw it out there in the chaos sword. Whatever. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, there. I just saw the glitch on. It showed like the 4 cards in your hand, and you'll see it when the episode goes up. It was weird. It's gone now. I can't see it.
Now, like, so you're like, I don't care about that. So what is that? Not here.
I know that's the thing. I could be bluffing.
Seven.
Alright, I'll draw, buddy. It's about to get.
And remember, there's, yeah, this thing.
Thank you.
First time in what, like 30 episodes we've seen this? It's alright, I'll fire it. I do. I'll get rid of the jar. Seems like here. And then that means I do set, so I'll
No
just set
touching.
you.
Body in that rain outlines your fate. Know my sword. Born of ice and frost.
It serves, yes, it's up there.
Sure. I am.
Seems solid. Yep.
So I'll just pass it.
Say it, let's see. I'm gonna go set what and set what.
There's nothing wrong with reaping a reward every now and then.
Yep,
Cool.
sure.
It was literally free treasure. I just never bothered to pick up. Amazing.
We'll draw. Stand by me. Duster. No one sack. Coffee. I'm going to flip my
I'll change it, bro. I'll Spanish.
Sure, that makes sense. And then we'll draw from that here. Really hoping I would have gotten something that I could have set. Unfortunately, I didn't get
Okay, alright.
I need a bit of space. That's, to be honest, that jar. Let's just run out. Oh, let's go. And then second main, I'll throw the button down and go back to.
Yep. Nothing seems like it. Seems like I'm going to focus on this thing. They're gonna activate the snipe button. Traditionally made them target to make
Makes sense to me.
them.
Never misses. Like to try again.
That's nothing. Sure. So, just in case, I was setting guard. Sure.
We'll take it.
Me too. I was just act.
Interesting. I'll draw. That's shoot. I was worried about. I don't say. I can do. You're not gonna catch this.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So, I will write it in the chat as well. So it's whole,
There's nothing wrong with leaping overboard every now and then.
And
Don't have any.
like to banish it with faith. So
I did.
I do have one in hand.
I'm gonna back to so yeah, just side snatch. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, I'm trying to sort.
Perhaps whoever left these behind
Right, that's fine.
was also fulfilling a contract.
So I didn't want to see the dust shoot. So it's to be one to see. So unless your hand just looks like I just have a bunch of answers. Which I mean, it's not impossible. I think. So the only thing I'm a bit worried
Perhaps
about
whoever
is
left
just,
these
like,
behind
I
was also fulfilling a contract.
yeah, it's an issue. 15, you only need to get 23. So it's not hard.
We're way behind.
You could just be sitting on things. As sort, funny enough, that its exact name is kind of. I'm going to darkness. And we're correct. I plays because you've got a lot of attacks.
Snatch, steal, and have to like specific front. I'm going to summon.
That's 19. Yep.
Yep.
Where's the sword? I see that. Okay. I know you don't have that in hand.
Ah, sure, it's this treasure.
Draw. Oh my god. Just the best player in the game. I might be. Is there any reason to use one? Snatch the truth.
Right.
Have to. Where? I will say
Oh
depending on
boy, time to gamble.
Oh! Oh my god!
Flash card.
Oh, I drew brain pop.
Wow.
Next on the agenda,
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
so I realized giving the card trick was super risky. I probably should do that.
To be fair, I needed to mill exactly one dark.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Dad is off. Well, I guess if I milled 2 darks and a light, I could banish for Sork and the Dad's on light. But I needed to mill exactly to work.
I think I punted that. I don't know if I could go to one though. Well, whatever. That was a big game one. Well, rest of the night I thought for sure, actually, man, giving that hard trooper, especially when that's national to suicide. You just have to get lucky. But a build, like I said, like guards or something like that.
Yeah, I needed exactly 1 dark, so I couldn't get 0 darks. I couldn't get 2 darks. I could get 2 darks if the third card was a light, but I could also not get 3 darks. So, like, probability-wise, when I had like a million darks in my deck, it wasn't gonna happen, but I know. So, alright, buddy.
Alright, but I'm gonna offer you a second.
I think that's the move.
I think it is. Alright, good luck.
Where's the stupid fucking statue for this thing?
Don't open pawn me. I swear to God, you slap down pawn me.
I will have you rest assured I did not open it. I'm really mad that I did. That's like the best. I will say that's like the punish for letting another person go first. That we have Gush Shoot and we have Copy in this format, so it's a tough choice. I'm gonna set 1. I have them all, I guess. I'll set 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right then. Something
A lot.
I just said. That's
Interesting. Okay. I'll draw. And my name, flip 'em. I'm surprised you didn't think of this because we saw this game once.
I did, but like, my hand's not equipped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright. See what you got, right? Breaker, support. Oh, the BLS!
You're joking.
Shit, okay. Those are big hits, those are big hits. The problem is you still have 5 cards, so.
Yeah, wow, great.
Yeah.
9 cards or 10 cards by 5 now. Oh my god.
We're right on saying it. Let's just try for 17. Okay. And then my second main, I guess I'll just set it 5th.
We'll draw, stand by. I will draw down. I'm just gonna set one. I'll set another. Pass.
Okay, now I'm afraid of 2. Okay, let's go. Main. Let's. Guess we'll just try to get a bit aggressive. I'll run out of cards.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go. Oh, got something here. And then let's go battle. Should I go trooper?
I will get.
Sure. No card draw for me. That's jar in. John, a little bit of a buck. Second main. Go ahead.
Stand by. Ellie?
Well, I mean, presently, I'm only doing 1,700 turns. So you're not intermediate.
You know, still, that's fine.
Sure.
I will set one. I'll add another.
Well, yeah, wait. I'll go main one. So now.
I will find
Some point. Sure. Battle. Try with Sid.
chain like sport power.
Okay, it's big enough, so I'll take 2 on second main. I'll throw jar to the fence, and that's it.
Hey, not a problem. Game.
I don't blame you.
I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Oh, why? What is my luck? Why do I keep doing the best parts of my day?
Alright, I'll roll. Okay. I will smash the
Fry! Pick
try.
the wrong test
Motion to
subject.
compel.
7.
Witness the power of good. I'm going in.
Second
All
main.
hail. Access denied. Here we go.
Flash!
Boom.
I will slam.
Breath of the flame.
There's some way to break actual slap. Yeah, let's get back to it.
That was almost something the same.
That,
Okay?
Huh. Let's appraise the value on this.
How was that?
you still have to deal with the Great Wall.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, you're at 78, bro. I don't think 800 is gonna matter.
I asked. I'm just answering the question.
Actually, not. Set it by pass.
Okay. I'll. Yeah, I don't even have MST, so something's going on. Oh, Jesus, 2 things. Yeah. Stu, smart for not attacking, because I had sack. So,
Okay.
that's the last 2. Unless you got more.
Um,
Bug. Oh, I can see that's one. And then, this is what, 17? Yeah, I have snatched. It's just like what happened to me last episode,
Yeah.
Jar Shenanigans. You got +5 on me, and so I got my revenge this time.
It's only fair. It's only fair. I knew I opened up that first hand I had was pretty sick with the snatch steal.
Yeah.
I didn't want to drop the breaker in because I'm like it's bottomless or something.
Right.
See if I can maybe get a 2 or something like that. Sure. I don't know. Get value off something. I don't know. Probably was a little.
It's rough though because you did have all monsters, right? So I mean, 2 of them you just couldn't even summon, and like sometimes with Jar that just happens where if you catch them on a and like just there's no way you can play around it, right? Like the game, I believe it was last episode, I was able to play around it. I just didn't because I remember you jarred me, and then I got punished again because then I attacked you and booked your jar, and so I lost like everything after that. So just the mind games with Jar, sometimes it's enough to just carry you, and you know, this is why Jar is just like a force back during this time. Just being able to draw 5 at whether you're losing or
Add
using
Astra.
+5 like on turn 1. It's just such
Thank
a
you for
huge uphill
complete-
battle for whoever's behind it. So we saw both ends of it over the last 2 episodes.
Add Astra.
Jar's been menace recently.
Yeah.
Magician of Fate, though. Nice of us to have both happen.
Yeah, nice of me to illegally play more than 1. I apologize about that, but
It's okay. I've been there. I've played illegal pieces. I played a couple illegal magic back in my days.
it's true.
So it's
That's
only
true.
fair, bro. It's
Yeah, it is only fair. I swore it wasn't. It was on the list anymore, but I completely missed it because you said it's banned, right?
Yep.
I think what happened was I looked at the limited list and I'm like, oh, it's not there.
Makes sense to them.
Yeah.
I really think like it took forever to make like Magician of Fate actually come on the list. You remember, like?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
It's forbidden until like late 2013 or something.
Right, when like no one like flip effects are so irrelevant by that.
Oh yeah.
Right until Chanel's come out, but that's a different story. But like by like maybe standards, yes. Like flip effects are just not good. Yeah. How was your retro pack? Any interesting cards? Any like top offs?
Definitely the big top off was the floater.
Yes.
A couple copies
Yes.
of Distant Tomato. I remember I've been rocking one this entire
Yeah.
series. So
I
the fact
mentioned
that I was able to be out, I think it really streamlined this thing. The big thing is like I also have Witch, 3 Distant Tomato, Witch Saint,
To Witch,
is like
yeah.
actually sick. Like that
Yeah.
gets me my whole deck, which is really sick. Other things I got, I did get 7 tools of Bandit was a really interesting pool. I know that gets reprinted a lot later, but a common. I did get my fair share of Graceful Cherries. Got 2 of them. Got a Heavy Storm too, funny enough.
Funny. I did check it before though too. Back in the other sets.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Stay close and you will
But,
live.
what else did I get? I think the unique stuff I got is like I did get. This is how I do your. I pulled 3 Magician of Fate.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay. I only pulled the 2. Okay.
So I thought I could play with but nah, I think it's a little happy. The one thing I got that was only unique, and I don't think either of us have seen it, is
My royal
I pulled that as
Shine
well.
down.
Yeah, you're right,
Transfixed.
From I believe Star
Stop
Stuff.
right there.
Yeah. And so I think Home Destruction actually has a lot of interesting aspects. Maybe not like exactly fit, but like in the future potentially as well. I played like a mini dark
Illusion shattered. Inazuma shines eternal.
Home Destruction like another one.
Midnight
Yeah,
Phantasmagoria.
I'm just trying to turn
You asked for it.
like,
Everlasting as the
like any of my
moon.
bombs in my deck. Like,
Late
it's not a terrible card, right?
besides that, I get there. I can get a bike and just eat stuff like that. It's like,
Oh, that makes it pretty good because that's your second ghost.
it is my second notes, yeah. But it's like, how long are these going to be relevant? Right? Like, we're literally
Linked format.
5 weeks, so
Linked format.
we'll see those ghosts come out in a nice retro pack.
Sure, that's the wrong shit. God
That's
damn it.
hilarious. I don't think I pulled any secret rares. I did pull the Arcana Dark Magician in the Ultra slot there. That was what? I also pulled 2 Solemn Judgment. So if Judgment ever comes off the banning, we both have to really
That's so silly. I was wondering, I got the Arcana Dark Magician too, and that wasn't from my own.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same one from LOD.
I believe so, yeah. And sometimes the pack opener messes up the artworks. Because, like, the...
Final warning. Overruled. into oblivion! Shine down! Justice will prevail! Drop your weapon! Transfixed! By royal laid bare. Midnight Phantasmagoria! Inazuma shines eternal! Hands where I can see them! This is where you fall. Overruled! Come with me.
I haven't played my Mona in a long time.
Cheers for a beautiful life and the next.
An unfortunate long-term consequence of gacha games is the inevitable oversaturation of its roster. Being a genre known for releasing new characters in an ever-expanding pool, combined with the absence of bounce updates like we see in other games, what ends up happening is eventually there will be a sizable advancement in either power or capacity between generations of units that ultimately render the old guard obsolete. It's understandable why they go down this path. The primary source of revenue sustained by most gachas is new content, the fancy new toy with the fancy new gimmick that helps you take on the fancy new boss. Financially, they have a clear motive to keep releasing new stuff no matter how much old stuff there is, or no matter how necessary it might be. And as I always like to say, for them to incentivize players to actually go after these new characters, said characters have to present a new mechanic or gameplay elements that the player base at large has had either limited or no access to at that point, or they had to perform current tasks at a greater level of efficiency, hence the two terms feature creep and power creep. After enough time, there becomes a noticeable difference between the new characters and the old, prompting players to, from a practical point of view, discontinue usage of the latter category.
What the hell, only 21?
Or to account for opportunity cost. Genshin's different though. Unlike the majority of gachas, our players by and large view characters as nothing more than a means to an end. Sentimental value and personal attachment towards characters run deep within the community. Questionably so, players are extremely loyal to their respective favorites, even if in relativity they rank among the lower tiers of the meta. Though with Fontaine haven't given us our biggest leap in power yet, that divide between the old and the new is getting more conspicuous with every version. Leading us to this video, I wanted to have a discussion over the uncertain future of old characters and the difficult challenge facing Hoyo in regards to how they can continue releasing new content while preserving the current stuff we already have. Genshin Impact has fundamentally reinvented the gacha genre in ways formerly never attempted, from exclusively mobile titles with a rather simple gameplay formula to something as complex and comprehensive in scope and experience as AAA big box titles. This game has single-handedly elevated the standards and expectations of gacha games, with companies including more voice acting, higher quality artwork and animations, and even expanding more on their marketing and branding to emulate the scale of Genshin. Gachas are no longer a niche category of gaming like they were in the 2010s. They've officially entered the mainstream. While Hoyo has deviated off the beaten path with its flagship title, Genshin still adheres to the general idea of gachas, namely in that it continuously releases new content and thus new characters to go along with it. But unlike other games whose new characters and classes are really obtainable, gachas institute a price tag onto every edition, making players have to consider the cost of acquiring them, which can either be the time or money conducive to including them in their roster. In other words, even though Genshin maintains a difficulty ceiling low enough to accommodate a wide selection of characters, they're still forced to play into the notion of new cast members being, in some way, shape, or form, better or more enticing than what players currently have right now. With them finally making an effort to produce new endgame content in recent times, as evident by the new Imaginarium Theater game mode, time will tell if that pressure grows. All the same, though Genshin is a gacha title, it tries its best to stand out as something more, and one way they do that is via characters. Longtime gacha players can all agree that the rate of new characters being released is considerably slower than most other gachas, who frequently pump out upwards of half a dozen new additions per month. That's because Hoyo tries to do more than just make new units for the sake of making them. Every character in Genshin Impact has a story, a background, some kind of personal involvement within the greater mythos of Tibet. More than just their gameplay and place in the meta, these units have a presence in the world, a personality, a voice actor, an identity. Every member of the cast, with the exception of this one random person, is connected with others, which is what gives the game more substance than other gachas where characters just exist to be chosen for battle. Essentially, Genshin makes it personal by putting a lot of effort into every character, hence why players are so attached to their favorite units. They have the same level of detail and attention as anime characters, and you know how much us weebs love our waifus and us fandos. Be that as it may, this is still a video game, not a visual novel. While the game tries its best to give equal attention to everyone, they're ultimately a for-profit company. It makes more financial sense to release new characters over giving attention to older ones. We're almost 4 years into the game, and for better or worse, many of the old units have been fighting against the test of time for a long while now. Remarkably, multiple version 1 units have managed to stay relevant and even dominant this entire time. Characters like Child, Xingqiu, Shanling, Bennett, Zhongli, and Fischl are still prize picks to this day, despite not having received any particular direct upgrade. Aside from maybe Fischl with Tantrum, but she was already one of the best 4-stars in the game. Additionally, though gachas are not exactly known for giving much attention to old characters buying universal systems, several of them have gotten indirectly buffed with the inclusion of new characters either offering a new playstyle to them or compensating for their inherent flaws. Next to Farazan and Xinyu, Shell has experienced a second lease on life, being one of the most effective teams in the game to this day. Another member of the Liyue trio, Hu Tao, has repeatedly found ways to prevent herself from falling off through both new units and universal systems. Diluc has become decently strong with the advent of Xinyu, providing his massive base damage on plunging attacks a use as well. On the support side of things, Jing went from a niche of not average healing support to one of the best in the game courtesy of the Hydro Archon's unique interactions with health manipulation, finally necessitating the acting Grandmaster's team-wide healing. I'm saying all this because I don't want to imply that all of the old units are facing the same situation, and it's also to highlight one of the ways in which Hoyo can remedy that very situation. It's true that compared to other gachas, Genshin has done a much better job maintaining the relevance of its older characters, and based on what version 4 has proven, they're making a concerted effort to allow as much of the early generations on board as the game continues to advance in power and feature creep. The sad part is they can't allow all of them. Many of Genshin's old units have been hemorrhaging market share, going from high-value targets to almost entirely non-existent among top or even high-performing teams. It's kind of nostalgic to think about. Back in the day, units like Mona and Eula were some of the best in the game by virtue of their staggering damage output, especially in the realm of single-instance attacks. This was during a time when landing 400, 500Ks was considered an achievement, but nowadays you see people doing that on the regular. It's not quite as impressive as it used to be. Granted, much of what made them so popular back then was that there was no one else but them. It's easy to believe Mona placed among the top of her class when all she had to contend against was Barbara, Xingqiu, and Child, and bear in mind this was before Child International gained headway and Barbara found new shoes with the Milu teams. Looking at the present day when we have units like Miu, Kokomi, Farina, Neuvillette, and Yelan, Mona's position within the Hydro cast looks a lot more modest. Circumstantially, things have also been spiraling for her. Pryor hasn't been doing all that well since version 3, and being an exclusively free-oriented support, by extension that makes Mona not do so well either. It's debatable whether she's even used for Vaporize anymore, what with there being so many better facilitators for that kind of playstyle. Similarly, Eula was also once the belle of the ball. When she came out at 1.5, she was a very strong contender relative to the cast, but once again, there was hardly much competition to begin with. Shao, Ganyu, Hu Tao, Child, Kuting, and Diluc, none of which had their perfected teams at that point in time. Again, though, circumstantially, the physical niche has received virtually no concrete improvements to their cast pretty much since then, causing Eula to fall off in value greatly over time despite still technically being the strongest physical damage dealer in the game. While several elements have that one character who facilitated Hypercarry team, Shinho for Cryo, Farazan for Anima, Kujosada for Electro, and Goro for Geo, the physical element doesn't really have anyone like that. A few token buffers here and there like Rosaria and Mika, so Eula has been more or less mooching off of universal buffs like Raiden Shogun's Elemental Burst Enhancement or Farina's Damage Amp. There are other Day 1 units who may have never really been the best, but were serviceable to some extent, certainly enough to make them worth pulling for. These days, however, you're hard-pressed to find any reason to use them at all. One of the most forgotten characters in Genshin would have to be Albedo. Albedo was always marketed as a jack-of-all-trades, master of non-support, having a bit of everything across the board and dealing a fair bit of damage himself. Found gainful employment as a third Geo character for Ito and Goro, supplementing both of them with extra energy and meeting the third Geo party requirement. Outside of that, there were a few niche interactions with them running alongside Chun-Li and Hu Tao teams, purely for lack of any alternative, or C4 Albedo running with Shell. But in almost every team where he was usable or okay, he's been effectively replaced by someone else. Hu Tao discarded him the instant Kazura came out. Shell threw him away for Farazan, and even within Mono Geo teams, Chiodi is considered a more DPS-oriented quickswapper for that team. Main reason you used Albedo and Mono Geo was because he was the only viable third Geo character, but now there's someone with a more focused role than him. Albedo was always an okay choice, not the best one, but with every possible team he could fit into gaining more efficient slots, opportunity cost has kicked him out of every situation he could potentially be used in. Here's another example of a character who was by all accounts a respectably serviceable unit despite a rather clunky playstyle. Though it wasn't very high profile, she had pretty good success with Mono Pyro throughout versions 2 and 3 if you chose to go that route. The main problem is that Shanling, Bennett, and Kazuha were high demand units who could be put to better use in other teams, which is why not many people talked about Mono Pyro Glee even though it was actually fine. When Lenny came out, though, she was completely superseded, executing on Mono Pyro far stronger and more comfortably. Now, Glee's surprisingly high Pyro application made her a potential candidate for 4 Vaporize teams with Farina, and we're running into the same issue again. and by extension the support to pair with her, can apply to many characters. I'm pretty sure even Gami can rival Ryu in the investment, although they are technically relationships. I'm aware that the likes of Letty, Mutao, Gami, and such don't directly compete for Ryu. Please more of a half carry, half team support kind of character who likes to enable her team, very similar to a like Child. And so she was still affected somewhat negatively from the resurgence of Pyro in version 4. By no means are the list of old characters endemic to just 5 stars. 4 stars are troubled by this even more, with characters like Chongyun, Ningguang, Yanfei, Racer, and so on having basically zero presence in the meta as we know it. It's a strange turn of events. For some old characters, the addition of new units and systems turned out to be a blessing for them, giving characters like Diluc, Jin, Noel, Shaw, Kuting, and Mutao a second or even a third lease on life. Meanwhile, for other old characters, the addition of new units and systems was the final nail on the coffin, taking away what little semblance of opportunity cost characters like Eula, Albedo, Klee, and Mona had. I do want to clarify that in terms of strength, I'm not saying these 4 are the same. Klee especially is still very strong if you can put up with their gameplay, it's just that in regards to their situations, they're in the same boat. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, power and feature creep were guaranteed to happen. It's an eventual and inevitable outcome for games that periodically release new characters. For other gachas, players are fine with this because characters are just a means to an end, but for Genshin, the thought of units becoming lost to time is much more serious. Hoyo's aware of this. They know that every unit has a loyal fanbase, no matter how small, and so they had to accommodate for that by giving all of them at least some attention. People have been getting frustrated by units like Kaveh not having gotten a rerun. Realistically, there's no benefit to giving him a rerun due to how weak he is, but they have to because of what Genshin represents to its players. Furthermore, they have to ensure that every character, no matter how old or how niche, still has a place where they're either best in slot or good enough to contend with everyone else. The moment a character no longer has something to be part of, they become forgotten and neglected, which is bad for a game built upon fostering attachment from character to character and character to player. This will only become more and more difficult to maintain over time, unless they decide to give us a 4-party style abyss or something ridiculous like that. Trying to give every character just enough opportunity cost value becomes impossible at a certain point. But we're not there yet, which brings me to the final topic. How can we give these characters more value again? While not ideal, the most applicable solution would be forced necessity. Forced necessity is a practice of contriving a scenario that explicitly demands a character with a specific playstyle. For example, over in the Game Blue archive, there was a unit named Shizuko who, all things considered, was really freaking garbage. She was a bad support unit all around. However, for a while at least, Shizuko was actually obligatory for you to perfectly clear one of the raid bosses, Shirokuro, thanks to her ability to summon a cover, Blue Archive's version of a Geo construct essentially, that completely shut down one of the boss's main mechanics. I quit Blue Archive back in spring of 2023, so she likely got officially power crept, but that's an example of what Hoyo can do for Genshin to try and bring some of these units back to relevance. Honkai Star's already been doing something similar with all of its different game modes and different cycle blessings, necessitating you to have a wide variety of units geared up to handle all the various combat scenarios you come across. Without, say, Pure Fiction, Herda, and Himiko likely would have been lost to time. Something they could do to make Albedo valuable, for instance, is to create a boss who generates massive earthquakes that deal huge damage, which can only be avoided by being airborne. So Venti's elemental skill letting you hover in the air, or Wanderer's levitation, or Albedo's elevator thingy propping you up above the ground can be counters for that. You can obviously make you stronger by creating a boss that negates all elemental damage, forcing you to rely on physical attacks to take them out. These hyper-specific scenarios can artificially inflate a character's usability by targeting mechanics that only they and maybe a few other units have. Of course, that approach in and of itself has a few drawbacks. New players or free-to-plays who don't have that many characters will find these contrived mechanics extremely unfair and predatory, pressuring them to pull for specific characters that they don't even enjoy playing or using just to enable them to clear this one thing. So if they want to go down this route, they'll have to create free-to-play solutions. Again, that's one option they can take. In addition, they can always try to go the indirect buff approach by, say, free Sullivan again for Mona, giving actual physical support for Eula, or finding some random way to make Pyro Catalyst users overpowered. But if and when Genshin's roster reaches triple digits, that becomes untenable as there are too many units to account for while simultaneously pushing the ceiling on a unit's capability. All this to say, I'm morbidly curious as to what will happen in version 5 and later version 6. I've always championed the notion that no character is unusable, and you could clear all the game's content with even the quote-unquote bottom-tier units. But I also emphatically stress the idea of opportunity cost. Even if a character is viable, if there's so many stronger, faster, cheaper, efficient, or versatile options out there, at a certain point, bias aside, there's zero reason for a player to want to use the 4th, 5th, or 6th best option. In other gachas, no one really cares if a mid or low tier character gets lost to time. If they're not useful, they're not useful, simple as that. But Genshin is different. Hoyo cannot abandon anyone, no matter how weak they are. If they do, players will become disillusioned. They have to give everyone reruns, they have to give everyone some kind of attention, because that's the kind of game Genshin is. It's all about the characters. If they abandon them, they'll actively damage the reputation of the game. What do you guys think? Do you believe there's a solution to keeping all existing units relevant while releasing new characters? I implore you to share it in the comments. For now, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe would be very much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Barcelona, join my Discord server, and check out my other discussion
Into the
videos if you haven't yet. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Hey there! Hiya! Did I scare you? Loaded. I can still... Let me try.
Oh. Useless. I could get C5 visual. No, it's ultimately better to just wait for her to show up in our banner.